In 1347, the Black Death moved through Europe like a dark cloud, a deadly epidemic that left few untouched. Across Germany, whole villages fell silent and towns became deserted. Yet oddly, certain individuals appeared unaffected by the plague. Though many died around them, these people stayed healthy. What was the reason? For hundreds of years, the explanation remained hidden, concealed within the survivors' bloodstream. Eventually, modern research uncovered a hint. A few possessed an unusual genetic variant. It is believed this mutation arose in northern Europe and spread via early Scandinavian and Norse peoples moving south. Far from being a random accident, this mutation is an inherited characteristic passed across generations, molded by centuries of surviving lethal illnesses. However, the Black Death represents just one part of the story. Germany's genetic ancestry stretches much deeper into time. To discover this, we need to travel back to the close of the final glacial period. When the ice sheets melted more than 10,000 years ago, small bands of hunter-gatherers moved into Europe's thawing territories, including present-day Germany. These people bore haplogroups I and C1a, among Europe's most ancient genetic signatures, transmitted through ancestral lines. These Stone Age inhabitants lived from the land, adjusting to tough conditions and leaving genetic adaptations ideal for cold, low-sun environments. Their genetic material formed the basis for Germany's early inhabitants. They possess features that help them absorb sunlight, essential for living in northern Europe. Today, their influence is visible in fairer skin colors. Prevalent in northern Germany is an adaptation to reduced sunlight, developed over thousands of years through a complicated genetic-environmental interaction. Approximately 7,000 years ago, the Neolithic Revolution brought migrants from Anatolia into Europe, bringing agriculture, ceramics, and fixed communities. These newcomers carried a new maternal haplogroup, one of Europe's oldest, and paternal haplogroups, adding fresh genetic variety. The Neolithic farmers brought wheat, barley, and animals to Europe, completely changing the land and creating a permanent lifestyle that still forms the core of Germany's farming traditions. Their genetic code gave rise to darker hair, robust facial traits, and farming know-how, a heritage still visible in German food and countryside customs. The thunder of hooves echoed across Europe as a new era dawned. Alongside horses arrived fresh populations, first the Yamna, then the Bell Beaker culture. Some 5,000 years back, the Yamna people surged into Europe from the Pontic-Caspian steppe. They introduced a game-changing mix: tamed horses, wheeled vehicles, and fresh pastoral practices. This extremely mobile society left a lasting genetic mark across Europe, particularly in areas that turned into Central and Western Europe. The Yamna passed on important genetic signatures, most notably the R1b haplogroup, which is still common among modern Europeans, including many Germans. Soon after, roughly 4,500 years ago, the Bell Beaker culture arose. Famous for their unique bell-shaped ceramics, the Bell Beaker people spread throughout Europe, building a huge cultural and trade system from Iberia all the way to Central Europe. They took on and adjusted parts of the Yamnaya way of life and genetic makeup, mixing it with native European groups and distributing Yamnaya genetic traces far and wide. Armed with horses, sophisticated metalworking, and wide-ranging trade links, the Bell Beaker people forged a common identity across the continent. Their physical appearance was highly varied, with different skin tones, hair types, and eye colors showing their mixed Yamnaya and native European ancestry. When the Bell Beaker culture expanded into Central Europe, its impact set the stage for early Germanic skills in craftsmanship and commerce. This nurtured an innovative spirit that shaped the region for hundreds of years. Around 3,000 years ago, Celtic tribes moved into southern and western Germany, bringing their distinctive customs and expertise. They introduced cutting-edge metalworking methods, crafting iron tools and weapons that revolutionized communities. The Celts also bore particular genetic markers, like the R1b haplogroup, very frequent in Western Europe, and some I2 traces from earlier European groups. These haplogroups were woven into the genetic fabric of southern and western Germany, notably in areas such as Bavaria and the Rhineland. The Celts left an enduring genetic and cultural heritage, adding darker hair and eye hues to the population. Even today, many individuals in Bavaria and the Rhineland still exhibit these traits. Local festivities like Walpurgis Night and Berchtenslauf in Germany reflect Celtic traditions. German folk art and metalworking traditions, displayed at regional festivals and craft events, continue to carry their artistic influence. Roughly 2 millennia ago, the Romans took control of Western Germany, constructing roads, cities, and vineyards. They introduced distinct genetic markers, mainly J2 and E1b1b, that were prevalent across the Mediterranean. These haplogroups added fresh genetic variety to Western Germany's gene pool, particularly along the Rhine Valley, where Mediterranean traits like olive skin and dark hair grew more frequent. Roman influence left its mark on German architecture, commerce, and farming, and they brought vineyards to the Rhine, a practice persisting for 2,000 years. When the Roman Empire waned, the Franks grew powerful in Western Germany, bringing numerous tribes together under a single rule. The Franks bore the R1b lineage and laid the groundwork for the Holy Roman Empire, molding the early medieval German identity. Their genetic and cultural impact persists in Western Germany today. During the early Middle Ages, the region's history became interwoven with a mix of Frankish, Celtic, and Roman ancestry. Slavic groups migrated into Eastern Germany, carrying the genetic marker R1a with them. These communities established settlements and shaped Eastern German traditions by contributing fresh cultural practices and genetic diversity. Even the name Berlin traces back to Slavic roots, coming from a word meaning swamp, referencing the marshy ground where the city was built. Slavic influence remains visible in Eastern Germany's dialects, cuisine, and family structures, where genetic and cultural heritage merged to forge a distinctive identity. In northern Germany, Nordic seafarers and early Scandinavian groups left their mark, especially in coastal areas where they traded, raided, and settled. These Viking descendants carried haplogroup I1 and occasionally a genetic mutation still common in Scandinavia and northern Europe today. This mutation may have spread to northern Germany through Nordic interactions and Scandinavian influence, offering a genetic advantage against certain deadly diseases. When the plague ravaged Europe centuries later, carriers of the mutation might have had stronger resistance, allowing some to survive where others perished. Along the coasts, Nordic influence blends with Germanic heritage, leaving traces of Viking genetics. Die Mutation und kulturelle Traditionen zeigen sich in den Fischereibräuchen und seemännischen Fähigkeiten Norddeutschlands. Die genetische Beschaffenheit des heutigen Deutschlands spiegelt eine komplexe Historie aus Wanderungen, Besiedlungen und kulturellem Austausch wider, die sich über Jahrtausende erstreckt. Regionale genetische Unterschiede spiegeln die spezifischen Einflüsse dieser Gruppen wider, geformt durch Geographie, historische Grenzen und kulturelle Interaktionen. In Norddeutschland zeigt sich eine Mischung aus Jägersammlern und jüngeren Vorfahren, mit starken nordischen und slawischen Einflüssen, besonders am Nordosten. Durch historische Verbindungen nach Skandinavien und slawische Wanderungen wurde die Region zu einer genetischen Brücke zwischen Mittel- und Osteuropa. Ostdeutschland weist eine ausgeprägte slawische genetische Schicht auf, die über einer Basis aus anatolischen Bauern und Jägersammlern liegt. Die frühmittelalterlichen slawischen Wanderungen hinterließen einen dauerhaften genetischen Abdruck, besonders entlang der Grenzen zu Polen und Tschechien, und machten Ostdeutschland zu einer kulturellen und genetischen Grenzregion. West- und Süddeutschland bewahren ein bedeutendes Erbe anatolischer Bauern und alter keltischer Stämme, das später von germanischen und römischen Bevölkerungen beeinflusst wurde. Süddeutschland, insbesondere Bayern, weist eine genetische Kontinuität aus der Kelten- und Römerzeit auf, die es mit breiteren europäischen Abstammungslinien verbindet. Mitteldeutschland stellt eine genetische Kreuzung dar. Es beinhaltet eine ausgewogene Mischung aus Jägersammlern, anatolischen Bauern und Yamnaya-Einflüssen, die Erbe germanischer Stämme mit benachbarten regionalen Merkmalen vereint. Seine Vielfalt spiegelt Deutschlands genetische Einheit durch ein Zusammenfließen von Abstammungen aus verschiedenen Regionen wider. Von den nördlichen Küsten bis ins Herz Bayerns spiegeln die Familien- und Ortsnamen Deutschlands die komplexe genetische Geschichte des Landes wider. Jeder Name trägt Echos der Kelten, Römer, Slawen und Nordmänner in sich, die alle die Regionen Deutschlands auf einzigartige Weise geprägt haben. Viele Familien- und Ortsnamen weisen auf keltische Ursprünge hin, die in den frühen Siedlern der Region verwurzelt sind. Keltische Namen leiteten sich oft von der natürlichen Landschaft, Berufen oder in ihrer Gesellschaft geschätzten Eigenschaften ab. Städte wie Bonn wurden ursprünglich von keltischen Siedlern als Bonner benannt. Nachnamen wie Buff und Burger heben die keltische Tradition hervor, Namen basierend auf der natürlichen Umgebung zu vergeben. Der römische Einfluss brachte neue Namen hervor, besonders entlang des Rheins, wo römische Soldaten und Siedler einen bleibenden Eindruck hinterließen. Römische Namen betonten oft den sozialen Rang, den Beruf und das Konzept des städtischen Lebens. The city of Cologne, whose name stems from Colonia Agrippina, began as a Roman colony and fortified military outpost. Surnames with Roman origins, such as Kaiser, Emperor, and Faber, craftsman, reveal how status and skill were prized in ancient Roman society. Roman names still leave their mark on the landscape and family lineages across Western Germany. In Eastern Germany, many family names and place names trace back to Slavic roots, thanks to medieval migrations that brought new customs and tongues. Slavic surnames often spotlighted occupations, personal attributes, or natural surroundings. As mentioned before, Berlin's name is believed to come from the Slavic word bel. That word means swamp, hinting at the marshy ground where the city was founded. Familiar surnames like Ziegler, brickmaker, and Schultz, village headman, underscore Slavic influence on jobs and community roles. These influences together shape both the identity and heritage of Eastern Germany. Northern Germany bears Norse influence in surnames and place names, linked to Scandinavian settlers, coastal communities, and trade routes. Norse names often put lineage front and center, with surnames reflecting ancestry directly. Cities like Hamburg and Flensburg embody the northern tradition of fortified settlements. Norse-inspired surnames such as Hansen and Peterson follow patronymic conventions, highlighting family heritage. Along with coastal festivals and maritime customs, these names showcase the lasting impact of Norse culture in northern Germany. Jewish communities, especially Ashkenazi Jews, have called Germany home for over 1,000 years, leaving both genetic and cultural footprints. Their genetic markers include distinct haplogroups like J1 and J2, often tied to ancient Semitic populations. They also carry some shared European markers, including R1A and R1B. These communities have not only shaped the genetic map, but also contributed unique surnames that remain part of Germany's legacy. Germany's genetic history is a saga of migrations, cultural exchanges, and ancient legacies woven into every region and surname. Every group from Celts and Romans to Norse and other peoples has left an indelible mark on the DNA and heritage of modern Germany. Loved uncovering the secret stories hidden in Germany's DNA? There's even more to discover. Go even deeper into the genetic past of nations and cultures across the globe on our channel. Be sure to catch our other videos for more genetic revelations. To keep this adventure through time and ancestry alive, every view, like, and subscription helps us resurrect more history. Thank you for watching, and thanks for being part of this incredible genetic journey. See you in the next video, where more ancestral secrets await.